This weekend's canyoning trip was a bit more relaxed than usual. Instead of tackling some wild, technical descent, Brad and I were leading a group of beginner canyoners through a classic Blue Mountains trip, fairly close to civilization. The crew? Well, there's me, Brad, and 3 other blokes who Brad knows. But then, just when we thought the group was complete, we picked up a random Irishman at the local cafe who overheard our conversation about canyoning. His name was Tony, and although he'd never tried it before, he had a wealth of roping experience from back home and was bloody keen. We started with a short walk down the trail, passing some stunning waratahs, and soon enough we arrived at the first abseil. The excitement was palpable, and I could see the nervous energy in the group. It's easy for us experienced canyoners to forget how nerve-wracking and foreign trusting your life to a thin piece of rope can be. I performed a quick demonstration on how to abseil, as well as showing the group that they can in fact trust the rope, before descending to the bottom and arriving at a stunning natural amphitheatre next to a waterfall. The rest of the group began to abseil down one by one, with the slipperiness of the mossy rock face making the otherwise gentle slope abseil more difficult. Despite this, the group completed the abseil without an issue, and their confidence increased. Brad was the last one to abseil down, coiling the rope into his bag, before we began the short walk down the creek to where the canyon constriction began to form. The canyon we were descending today was actually pioneered back in the early 90s by a bunch of Sydney University bushwalkers. The group had set out to explore Arethusa Canyon, but bad weather and dangerous conditions led them to try a new route into the Grand Canyon. The vegetation was so thick that one of the group members had their volley shoes torn to shreds and their hands bleeding from the sharp thorns which had pierced their leather gloves. Our group was significantly more lucky, with a formed trail present to assist us in preserving the skin on our precious hands. I mean, how else would I be able to watch TikTok if my hand was bandaged up? We continued down the creek, and as the canyon constricted around us, the wall seemed to close in, getting steeper and more dramatic with every step. We arrived at the second abseil, a daunting 15-metre overhang, which would commit us to the length of the canyon. I abseiled first, providing brief instructions on how to get past the overhang. Abseiling an overhang is particularly daunting for beginners, as the technique seems a bit counterintuitive. You're required to get your body perpendicular to the rock face, before committing to dropping beneath the lip of the rock, with sufficient room to avoid smashing your head against it or losing some teeth. Each of the lads made it down, some looking smoother than others, but all of them got the job done. There was a beautiful waterfall right next to the abseiling pitch, with crystal clear water flowing
Now's
into
the
the
tricky bit,
pool.
Brad.
I remember the last time I was here, it was the middle of winter, and we decided
It's
to do a
slippery.
little Wim Hof ice bath challenge in that very pool. Now let me tell you, it was bloody freezing. Immediately after this pitch was the next abseil. Now, an interesting thing about this canyon is that the second, third, and fourth pitch are almost like 3 variants of the same abseil. Each pitch starts with some scary exposure, an overhang, followed by a section of free hanging in empty space. But each pitch gets progressively harder. The exposure dramatically
give us a small.
increases, and the length of the abseil grows.
He's trying to abseil down like while standing on the log. Oh. You're the main plot point of the movie. Nice, man.
After that third pitch, the canyon opened up, revealing a massive valley lined with cliffs and rock formations stretching as far as the eye could see. We walked a bit further, and soon enough we came to our final abseil, a heart-stopping 30 metres. This would be the big one. The test of everything that the group had learned today. Brad went first, setting up a bottom belay to ensure safety for the rest of the group. Watching him go down made it look easy, like he was just casually dropping into another weekend adventure. Then, one by one, the rest of the crew went down. Everyone handled it like a champ, though there were a few fun moments of flair. Like one of the boys going upside down in the middle of the abseil. Classic. Once everyone was safely down, we could finally breathe easy. The hardest part of the day was over. Looking back up into the canyon, it almost seems like another world. Huge rock walls lined with lush ferns and greenery surround us, the landscape dwarfing us entirely, like how we look down on ants. Up in the constriction, we could see a group of 2 completing the final abseil. I filmed the descent, and we had a quick chat before continuing on our journey through the rainforest. As the canyon opened up, it revealed an awesome view into the Grose Valley. The remnants of an old unmaintained walking trail visible, with the rusted railings holding onto the side of the rock face. Looking down below the waterfall, I could see a section of rock that showed the sedimentary nature of the sandstone surrounding us, with a seam of coal clearly visible partway through. We scoffed down our sandwiches prepared earlier in the day before taking some time to soak in this amazing landscape we had the pleasure to be in. It's a funny feeling looking back at this adventure, the team having bonded throughout the day through adventure and adrenaline, to knowing it will almost certainly never be able to be recreated. I mean, sure, we can try and get everyone back together at some point in the future, but it will be difficult considering the travelling Irishmen who joined us today. Even if we could get the group together, who's to say the weather would be as good? That everyone is feeling the same sense of excitement and nervousness as on this day. Even if we could perfectly recreate today, would we want to? Maybe part of the reason it was such a good time was unconsciously knowing that it would never be repeated. Is there a word that describes the feeling you get in a moment you know will be looked back upon and be nostalgic, in that very moment as it's happening? We began to walk back up through the lush rainforest, looking a little bit like a collection of hobbits in the Shire. Arriving at a waterhole, Tony the Irishman raises the idea of jumping in for a swim. We concur. He's only in Australia once after all, but had collectively agreed that we're going to supervise him from the shore. Walking up through the stunning rainforest, which would be worthy of a trip on its own, we located an old mountain pass established in 1899. That would be our ticket out of here. The Blue Mountains really put a show on for our Irish visitor today, with clear skies and the characteristic blue haze visible kilometres in the distance. We continued on our way back following the single trail, telling stories and chuckling at each other's jokes. Arriving back at the car, personal details and photographs were exchanged before we parted ways and returned back to our regular lives. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Make sure to subscribe so you can join me on my next Wollemi adventure.